I'm good.
You're good. All is well?
All is well. It's just a lot. It's just hot in Texas as
Yeah,
usual.
of course, of course, of course. So how's life going so far?
Life is going pretty good. I have nothing to complain about. Was a caregiver, and I'm kind of getting away from that because my husband is a lot better. But men are like children.
I
You
didn't
have to
say it.
kind of you have to kind of nudge them along. But he's getting a lot better, so we have nothing to complain about. We had to lean on our faith, but that's what it's there for.
Okay. Caregiver, men are like children. I've heard that often that men are like
Mhm.
children, but you said it. I didn't. I'm not married nor in a relationship, so I keep away from those type of statements.
They are just like they're big babies. Women are a lot different. We want to take our medicine and leave us alone. They want you to beg them to take the medicine, sit with them while they take the medicine. So yeah,
How long have you been married?
40 plus years.
Wow,
Mhm.
really? That's amazing. What's
See,
the secret? What's the secret?
you say it's amazing. I used to work at public school, and I remember one time telling the students, I said, I know this lady and her parents have been married 65 years. And they said, to the same person? I was like, no, 5 to this one, 3 to, yeah, that's what an anniversary is. I don't know if there's a secret. I really don't, you will meet people that say, oh, we never argue. We never do this. It's what works for you. It's what works for you. I've known people whose husbands were, or a spouse worked on the waterfront or whatever. They were gone a week. They came home. It's like driving a car. It's like going back to your house. Sometimes you have to detour. Sometimes the road gets bumpy, but you just go on.
Okay. I'm not in a relationship, so I'm taking advice from the people that are married that have appeared on my podcast and try.
That's another thing. You take it with a grain of salt. It works.
Okay. So keep in mind that whatever works for myself and future spouse, it's for us, not
It's
anybody
for
else.
it's for you. You go somewhere and they'll tell you that you should do this or you should do that. It's just like your mother and father raising you. You
Right.
have friends who turn out just as well as you, but their parents were different kind of parenting. They did different kind of parenting. So it's just what works for you. I have a friend, roommate from college, and her husband always called his parents by their first name. And I just thought that was the oddest thing because he would say, we're going home to see Josephine and Perry. So I'm thinking brother and sister. I never called my parents by their first name unless I was mad and it was under my breath and I went in my room.
That makes sense. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie. There are times I do call my parents by their first name when I'm mad at them. I'll
Mhm.
address them like, excuse me, ma'am. I say Miss and Mister in front of their first names. I'll be like Miss and Mister.
Mhm. Mhm.
What's going on here? So I get it. Some people have um different dynamics, different relationships with their parents,
Mhm.
to where their parents are comfortable with them
Yeah,
addressing by their first name. I get it, but you know, it is what it is. But congratulations on your 40. You said 46 or 40
I
plus
said 40 plus. It'll be 44.
this upcoming year. I mean, this year.
Mhm. In
Wow.
August. Yeah.
How did you guys meet?
At a going away party for somebody that I didn't know. I was just like this. A friend of mine says, I'm going to this party. You want to go? And I was like, no. And she said, well, you want to go with me? We won't stay long. And I met him then. And we've probably been together almost since then. Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time.
It is. We didn't date that long though, as
Okay.
compared to what people do now. People say we dated 5 years. No, we didn't do that. We didn't do
Oh,
that.
so it was like what, 2, 3 years or a year and a half, and then you got married?
Try 4 months.
4 months.
Yeah,
Wow, you don't hear that often. No, you don't hear that
we
often
met in
because
April. We got married in August. But I think too, part of it was that we were not like your 18, 19, 20-year-old people.
yeah.
And so we were a little bit older. He was settled. I was settled. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Because today, I will tell you, I don't know what's going on in the dating pool today,
Mhm.
but it's I know I'm a part of it, but it's unhealthy. It's really unhealthy. Really,
I hear
really.
that from my youngest daughter. I hear that all the time. And she says, I may be by myself, her, and as she calls her, my grand dog. She has a dog. She says, so it might be me and Sheba forever. I said, it could be. But my mother and father, and especially my mother, raised us that we may never get married. She said, you do, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine. She said, but you be able to take care of yourself. And so that was her thing. She wanted her daughters to be able to take care of themselves if something happened. And my dad died when he was 49 and my mom was 44. So, I never saw her miss a beat. She just went on with life. She knew how to do everything. So I just figured that that's how it should be. And you may get married, you may not,
Wow, your dad died young. How did he die?
Mhm. He had a massive heart attack.
Goodness, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, but and you think about those things now, and I can tell you this from looking at the things people talk about on television, the gymnasts and all this happens to them, or somebody's harassing or whatever. I'm like, where are their daddies? Where are their fathers? You know,
I mean,
I'm not understanding. So, but
a
that's a
lot of
whole.
us a lot of us grew up without fathers. I was one of them. I grew up, even though he was there, I knew who he was and I knew where he lived. He wasn't active in my life. So it's
Mhm,
possible. You know what I'm saying? There's this saying, I don't know how true it is, but something about men having children with a woman and how he feels about the woman is how he treats the child. But in my case, it was both of my parents
mhm,
weren't the best. They weren't compatible.
mhm,
So they each had their own issue with one another, and they
mhm,
put me in the middle. And if one person was upset with the other, I'd be the one that would hear it, and vice versa.
mhm.
It's some of us, we end up not having that father figure in our lives. Sometimes it comes out
And
like
that's
that.
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
it
But you
happens.
but you are living proof. And like I said, I used to do public school, and they would say, "Oh, they don't have a father, whatever." I was like, I knew people when I was growing up. They lived with their grandparents. They never saw their parents, and they turn out fine. I said, so that's not saying that people aren't gonna flourish. And even if somebody had been in your life, may not have been a good father, may not have been a good parent. That's one that there is no roadmap to, is parenting.
Oh, we know. I'm aware. I saw it firsthand growing
Mhm,
up.
mhm,
So, at the time when you're younger, you put your parents on a pedestal because
mhm,
those are the people that are the examples of what you have in front of you in the home and how to be. And then as you get older, like the saying goes, you tend to learn, you figure out your parents, and then you figure out that they were just trying to do life while also raising themselves and raising others. So you give
yeah,
them compassion,
you
grace,
do. You do.
forgiveness.
You
But
do.
it is what it is. I
It
totally
is.
get it. Let's move on to you. So men are babies. I'm sorry, that's really tickling me right now. I hear it often, but I'm tickled.
Mhm.
So how did you become to be his caretaker?
Well, his back was bothering him, and when we finally found a doctor that knew what it was, he had to have surgery. And
Okay.
so, when he had surgery, you have to go to rehab because it
Yes.
was on his back. So, I became the person that says, well, you need to get up, or I would bring him things. And I remember probably about 2 days ago, because he's been through with the surgery, the therapy there, so they do it at home. And it was so funny. He said, somebody's at the door. I said, get up. Yeah, and it hasn't been a bad thing, where he was just really, really sick. But I know it did hurt when somebody cuts on you. It is going to hurt, and you're used to doing things. And so, back to my children, they said one day he said something. They said, "We know what's wrong with Daddy. He's not in control."
He's not in control.
Yeah, because you have to do the therapy the way they want it done. And it doesn't seem like it's working, because I've had therapy, you're doing these little bitty moves and everything, but it is. These people know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. So he's better. So his attitude is better.
Got it. I understand now. I'm taking it in. As you said, take it with a grain of salt. So when it's
Yeah,
my
you do. You take
turn,
it with.
when it's my turn, I know I can go back and be like, okay, Maricia. Who is Maricia? Now that we know how life is, who is Maricia?
Maricia is Quintel and Ruby Cooper's daughter, their middle child, their child who seems to smile through life. She's from a small town. She's a product of everything in that small town, the neighborhood, the school, the church, and she lives life to the best of her ability. She's had to learn as she's gone on in life that it's not going to always be smooth. Sometimes it's going to have a detour or whatever. But she enjoys life because she knows this is your best year.
This is your best year. So how did you get to this? This is your best year.
My friends and I were, I guess you call us magazine junkies when we were younger. You had Essence and Ebony and all of those things. So we loved looking at us. And then one day it hit us that they were no longer talking to us. It's like, we had matured and the magazine had stayed at a certain age, which is fine. And so when I would go out and look at things, I remember my mom telling me this. She didn't want to be a rocking grandma. And, when I was a little girl, I thought they were so old. But as I grew older, I found out, dang, they're not that old, but they were grandparents. And my mom was the mom. So I think that that's one of the ways we came by, because being a wife and a mother is different than it was for my mother, which was different than it was for her mom. And then now, as a grandmother, it's totally different. Even people's grandmothers' names are different now. We had me mom, big mama, and all of that, but people have changed. So I think it's you grow and you find out things, and it's even the way people dress. Back then, your grandmother wore this. She was going to look like this, but it's not all together like that now. And you can still be somebody that wants to work. You may have reached the age of retirement, but you're not ready to work. Ready to stop work. So we just let it go.
Interesting. To me, it sounds like the basis of it is just change, adapting to change. So how have you adapted through change throughout your life? Because you started with the magazine, then you moved into the matriarch of the family. So how did you adapt to change in your life?
I'm going to skip all the way back to when my dad died. I was a junior in college. Okay. My folks had told us that they would give us 4 years of schooling without a loan. You had 4 years to do this, and you would go through. You probably wouldn't get a car and all the wonderful things because they were two educators trying to get you through school. Well, as a teenager, I would call home. I need, I want, can I? The day my dad died, I made up my mind. I would not ask my mother for anything else because we had gone from a two household person to a one household. So what I did was, I was working. I would pay tuition and she would pay for a room and board. And that's how we worked that out. So I think I grew right then. And then I had another year of schooling when I finished, because I finished in 3 years. She said, you have one more year. Why don't you get your master's? So I stayed down where I was at A&M Commerce, got my master's, still had a job. And I remember telling her, well, we're going to march on such and such a day. And she looked at me and said, I've seen you march once. You have a job, so you need to go to Fort Worth and start your job. So I grew up. I left her. I always said I was going to move next door to my parents because we had this lot that we bought. And she says, nothing here for you. You're always welcome to come home, but you need to spread your wings. So I think I was nudged a little bit. You go out and you do these things. I had a lot of friends in Dallas. Fort Worth was different. And as I grew, I started doing things on my own. Like I said, you make mistakes, you spend too much money here, you spend too much money there, and you have to kind of back. You just grow. You learn from your mistakes. You learn from the people around you, and you have really good friends that you can depend on.
How did you find those? Okay. Well, how did you find those friends?
My best friend and I have been best friends since second grade. Yeah, so we know each other backwards, forward, around and whatever. And she lives in Arlington. Okay. And it just so happened we moved about 15 minutes from each other. But that was a big deal. And when I was in college, I pledged a sorority, Zeta Phi Beta, and we chartered. So I knew everybody on that line. I knew everybody on that line. And I think people that are like you gravitate toward you. You know, we've lost contact with some of them in the years, but now we're coming back together. Everybody's life has kind of settled down. So you have to remember too that a good friend of yours does not have to be your age. They can be somebody older or younger, because you can learn from everybody. And it's just by chance. And sometimes it's just for a season, and sometimes it's for a lifetime.
A good friend of yours does not have to be the same age. That's a word. You know, I'm always open to learning from people, no matter the age bracket or the life experiences or things like that. You know, especially on this podcast, a lot of everyone, no matter the age, has taught me so many things. But as a Black woman, I've learned from my personal experiences, it's been very hard to cultivate friendship with other women. And I had a very close and dear friend who unalived herself back when we were 19. So now in my 30s, mid 30s, I'm like, it's hard to make friends these days. You're talking to me. Give me advice. What would you say to someone, to me, or anybody that's similar to me, who's having difficulty cultivating friendships with another woman? It doesn't matter if she's Black or whatever the case may be. What advice would you give to us?
I think, you probably already do this, you do different things. You go to networking events, or you go to different events that you like, and you may run into somebody. The lady that's quite a bit older than me, I met her at a Law Wives conference. My husband is an attorney. And at the time, I taught in public schools. So I met all of the ladies, and they would ask, "What do you do?" And I said, "I teach." And it looked like this blank look would come over their faces, because they all had titles. You know, they were this, and this, and this, and this. So I'm kind of just sitting over in the corner, you know, by myself, drinking my little tea or whatever. And this older lady comes over, and we strike up a conversation. And she said, "Oh, I taught, but I quit. She didn't retire. She quit." Our relationship just blossomed over that. My mom met her. We've been close now 40 something years. And it's a good 20 something years difference in our age. She's never had children, but she imparted a lot of knowledge on me, because as I felt kind of bad that, when they looked at me and said the blank look or whatever, but I was very proud that I worked in education, and I thought I did a wonderful job. And it turned out that this person had done more than they had traveled more than they had, all of these things. But it's sometimes, like you said, some people disalign themselves with you, and it's okay. We just got back from a class reunion where we did 3 classes, and somebody I hadn't seen in probably 20 some years. And when they were here, we were close. But when they moved, we lost contact. And I always said, it was for a season. I'm not mad at them. They're not mad at me. And, we talked. It was just not that closeness that it was 20 years ago. And you have to realize that.
Yeah, that's true. I've been reading a lot about friendships dying and having to mourn friendships and things like that. I mean, there's been some that I had to mourn and some that I had to let go. As you get older, you do want to pick up the phone and call a girlfriend and be like, "Girl, let me tell you what happened to me today." You know what I mean? Like you want that type of camaraderie. I've noticed, especially on social media and like the groups that I'm in, everyone's having difficulty finding loyal friends. You know what I mean? Finding very loyal, honest, and loving friends, and friends who actually like and love you for you. You know what I mean? Yes, for you. That's the basis of it. For you. Because a lot of people can carry a lot of animosity, jealousy, envy. And the saying,
I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. You buy a new house, and see, I'm the type of person, you buy a new house and invite me over. I'm going to sit there for a while and say, "Girl, show me around," and I'm going to ask, what's this? I'm happy for you. But sometimes I think as I've matured, I've had to ask God, don't let me be envious of people. And let me be happy for them. And let's say that you don't live on the side of town that they think is the right side of town, but if they're your friends,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. If they're not your friends, then it really doesn't matter. But I do think it's harder for y'all with social media.
It is.
Most of the people that I know about your age, if they have real close friends, they have them since high school. They've had them since, junior high or whatever. And maybe they lost contact, but now they're back closer together. But like I said, as you mature, you have more time to do what you want to do because the children are grown. The grandchildren don't think you're cool anymore. They don't want to come around. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's true. But I'm not gonna lie, I had those, but again, they were for a season, you
Mhm.
know? You start to tell them how you actually feel about the relationship. They either be like, okay, or whatever. And to me it's like, you really never you weren't my friend really. And if I'm telling you
Mhm.
my concerns about our friendship and you're kind of like lackadaisical about it, it's like, okay, so you weren't really we weren't
They
like
weren't your ride or die.
they weren't.
They were not your ride or die.
They weren't. And it sucks because I found, well, I don't want to say it sucks. Piggybacking off what you stated earlier, like doesn't matter in factors of like connecting with people or building friendships with other people. I've built friendships with people from my podcast that
Mhm.
are not within my age group. And
Mhm.
it's so fulfilling and loving because I check on them, they check on me. We don't have to talk every day,
Yeah.
but I will reach out like, hey, how are you doing? If they post something on social media, I'll interact, and they do the same with me.
Mhm.
And I don't know what it is or how it is, but God put it together to where it was like, I see what you went through, but I'm gonna give you people that are better than what you've had
Mhm.
before.
Mhm.
And it's such a blessing. But I still want somebody my age.
You will get them, and you won't even be looking, and you'll go like, dang. And sometimes you have to figure out too that it may not be a female, it may be a male.
This is true. This is true
He may
too.
be looking for a sister. That's all he wants is a sister to talk to, or somebody that he can bounce suggestions off of. Oh, they will come when you're
They
least
will.
expecting
I'm
it.
gonna be. I really am because I really want some friends. You know what I'm saying?
But
I'm
you,
tired of
but
going.
you're not going to get a whole bunch. Like you have
No.
5,000.
Oh
You
no.
have 2, 3 that are ride or die.
Exactly. And I'm tired of going outside by myself. When you're like, I don't mind going out by myself, but
Mhm.
sometimes I'm tired. I'm like, what you doing? I just want to pick up the phone or text. I'm
Mhm.
like, what are you doing tonight? Let's go do this. Let's go check this out.
Mhm.
Let's go have fun.
Mhm.
But I love how you stated that. And just by talking to you, it's making me think about myself as a friend. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, how do I show up as a friend to other
Mhm.
people? So I'm going to pose the same question to you. I know you talked about your best friend since
Mhm.
since what, second grade
Second
that you've
grade.
known. Yeah. So how do you show up as a friend to your friends and as a friend to yourself?
It is so funny you asked that because going back to my best friend, we stopped giving each other Christmas gifts and birthday gifts. Ooh, 30 odd years ago because she was in education too. And
Oh,
we thought, whatever you can afford to buy me, I can afford to buy me. But our thing was, if you're out somewhere and you see something that you say, oh, that reminds me of her, then you just buy it and then you just give it to her. And so I think that's helped us a lot. Both times when we've had things that happen in our lives, all we have to do is just call.
mm-hmm.
And no matter what time it is, we might tell you, don't come, but we know you're coming. We know you're coming. Our children I had a little girl, she had a little boy. They became best friends.
Oh,
As my daughter told me one time, she said, I didn't know she wasn't your sister till I was grown almost because she called her Aunt Carolyn. I think too that when it's a friend and you don't do what they think you should do, then it's okay for them to talk to you about it.
okay.
Not in a mean way. Well, I thought you were going to come over. Maybe you say, well, you told me not to, so I decided not to. Or you may go and they didn't want you to come. I just think I'm easy as a friend. Some people are, like I said, they're acquaintances. They're
Yes.
not friends, they're acquaintances. When I first started teaching, I met this lady and she was my mentor. We're still this close. And it used to tickle her husband because I would say, Vernon, let me talk to Miss Newton. He said, why is she Miss Newton and I'm Vernon? But that's how we talked at work. And you
Yeah.
have to realize too, especially at your age, a lot of your friends may be married,
Oh, yes.
children.
Yes.
And it's a certain age in there where you're probably never going to see them that much. And after a while, you get tired of buying Girl Scout cookies and and going to plays that aren't that good or whatever. But you do it because you know one day they're going to come out of that season when the children don't need them as much. And you can just be a help. I think I'm a very good friend. And I'll tell you one thing. If a friend tells me something in confidence, it stays there.
Yeah.
It stays there because I remember my kids, my oldest one told my youngest one something. And then she said, I know Julie told you. And I looked at her and she said, you told me not to. And so I think I'm that type of friend. I don't look for a lot of friendships. Let's say that I think you're my friend and you have a party and I'm not invited. You can only invite so many people.
Yeah.
That's how I tell you. I'm not mad. I'm not angry. Then when I was younger, I might be hurt. But now it's like you can invite so many people and maybe I wasn't in the top 10. But that doesn't mean the next time I have someone say, I'm not going to invite Magda. I'm just not going to do that. No. So I think you have to grow. I really think you have to grow. And I look at my mom and the people that we grew up with. Her closest friends were probably a couple of the ladies in the church and me. And I thank me because we talked every day like I still live there. This was way before cell phone. That's the one bill my husband gave me was the telephone bill because I talked to her 2 and 3 times a day. Because she told us long years ago, you can tell me anything. I may not agree with you. I may try to talk you out of it, but it goes no further than here. So.
Yeah, that's great. You know, a lot of parents don't adhere to that rule, but you know, I mean, it happens. You know, they might just be so used to telling their friends,
Yeah.
you know, what's going on, and then you're included in their business because you're their child. So it's just like, can we not do that? But I like that you know, if someone tells you something, you don't repeat it. And not gonna lie, a lot of that happens out in these streets. You would think it's confidential between you and the person, and the person turns around and tells your business, and then it's like, how can I trust you? But other than
I think social media has a lot to do with it. I really do. I feel for people your age because everything looks so perfect. Everything not a blemish everywhere. I don't know if you've ever been enamored with somebody that maybe that was famous, and then you saw, oh my God, they look like this, and then you saw them and you go like, I didn't know all that was airbrushed, and they have too.
For me, no. I really look at celebrities as humans. I know that because they're humans, that we're the ones that made them famous. We're the ones that made them popular. We're the ones that shared, you know, their stories, whatever they're doing online constantly over and over again. So yeah, I might be like that. That's so and so celebrity, but then when I see him, I'm just like, they're just a regular person, just like me. They just got more money and in the limelight. You know what I mean? So
they have somebody to put your makeup on every day, do your hair every day.
So, but I don't really like fan over celebrities. If it's someone that I normally fan over people who wrote self-help books or who wrote like books that I really love that nobody heard about. I fan over that because I like the book. But in terms of like if somebody got a blue check mark, I'm not fanning over you because you at the end of your life you're gonna die too. So why should I sit here and go crying head over heels about you when I know both of us gonna rot in our coffin when we die? So it's to me it doesn't faze me. I just look at them as human. I respect them. Do they make mistakes? We all do. Because please point out a person. Right, point out a person that has never made a mistake, and then I'll sit back and be like, whatever. But nah, you know, social media does have a lot of effect on us, especially my generation, because we grew up in it. We grew up in the whole computer and all this other stuff. The millennials, we grew up in that stuff. But at the same time, we all yearn and we all want connection, human connection. And I think we're just fearful of putting ourselves out there and vulnerable. You know what I mean? When it comes to that. because we can judge so much and so quickly. But back in the
Mm-hmm.
day, well, I grew up in the 90s. So back in your day, there was no social media. There was
No,
no cell phones. You actually had
you
to
had to
go.
write. You had to write
Yeah,
letters, and you were not allowed to call people long distance. You could call them every
exactly.
once in a while. So you did those things. So I think it was an anticipation of things. If you wanted to see how they look now, they would have to have a picture, send it to you, which took a couple of days or whatever. But I think if you're grounded, and I think a lot of millennials now are grounded,
Yeah.
know they are figuring out who they are, and it's okay that you reach 30 and you say, I don't know. It's sort of like going to college. People said they major in this thing, they get halfway through it and go like, I don't like this. Maybe I should do something else or whatever. I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
So it's fine. It's fine but I know you are looking for that connection, and like I said, it'll come when you least expect it.
Of course. I mean,
Mhm.
that's why I put my podcast on that newsletter, because I'm like,
Mhm.
I gotta talk to people. I'm tired of talking to myself. I need to talk to other folks because I'm the type of person where I need that connection. I need
Mhm.
that human interaction. Like texting can go so far, phone calls can go so far, being online can go so far. But at the same time, I also like my space.
Yeah.
You know what I
Well, that's
mean?
a good thing. But we had a minister one time, and this was pre-COVID, and we would get up and he would say, hug somebody. He said, because you don't know that may be the only human touch that they have
Yeah.
all week. He said, and we all need human touch, but it's like you said, sometimes you just want to be by yourself. But that's when you know that person is a good friend, because they know. They say, oh, she don't want to be bothered today. I'll call her tomorrow. Or either I text and say, I'll see you tomorrow for lunch or whatever. So
Yeah.
they get those things. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. It'll come to me, but at the same time, I want it. I want that. Because there's a lot of things that's happening in life. I was like, oh, I wish I could pick up the phone and call somebody and help me celebrate my wins, whether it be small or big. But we'll get there.
Yeah.
This was very enlightening to me because it's just making me see how I am as a
Mm-hmm.
friend and how I want to move forward with other people and other platonic relationships
Mm-hmm.
that I want to build, moving forward. Yeah, I'm in my mid 30s, but again, I want that human interaction. And I do meet people and I do talk to them when I go outside. It's a great time, but I still want my circle. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I want my
Mm-hmm.
success tribe. I want my small circle. Doesn't have to be, well, yeah, it will be small. I want my small circle. I want my intimate circle, so where we can bounce ideas, whether it be business or whether it be life or whether it be relationships or anything like that. I still want my circle. I want
Yeah,
my
you want that circle. My best friend wasn't able to go to the class reunion, but everybody asked about it, and she is so funny because we went to a surprise birthday party for somebody one time, and she looked at me and she said, "You better tell me if my husband is planning a surprise birthday party for me, because my hair has to be right." She said, I need my hair and my makeup correct." I was like,
well. Why would she want to know about a surprise? It's not a surprise if
She
she
said
never.
everything. She said everything's got to be right. She's, I can pull it off. She's, I'll act really surprised. I was like, oh, okay. And he would look at me sometimes if he told her something, and he would look at me and go, like, I know she told you. I know she told you. And I was like,
Like,
so
I don't know nothing. My
yeah,
name's Bennett and I ain't in it. Yeah, I get it.
relationships are they're not hard, but they take cultivating. It's like a little plant. You got to
Yeah.
water, you got to fertilize, and sometimes it still dies. Sometimes, you say, I did everything and it still died.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. Relationships, no matter if it's romantic or platonic,
Mhm.
or even professional, they do die. That is very true. This was great. This was
Great. You really are. I'm very proud of you. But you will find somebody. Now, where are you located?
Chicago.
Chicago. See, I love Chicago.
Love Chicago. But the
I was
winters
there.
are horrible.
I was there, and I did the little segue to a pre-COVID. I did the little segue tour,
Oh,
and I can't remember. It was some black guys that owned it, And because that's why I don't remember anything except I never knew y'all had that much water in Chicago. And it was a lot of fun. It was only 3 of us on the little tour, but it was a lot of fun. And I can remember asking the concierge hotel at the hotel, where was Louis Farrakhan preaching that weekend? And he told me, he said, it's across town. He said, so, you don't need to go. He said, so it's a distance. He said,
It
so no.
is.
And I was telling him, I said, well, I just wanted to hear him. So, but it was a fun trip. But I can make anything fun. I think that's one thing that I tell people. I've not gone to a place that I didn't find something that I like. I said, I mean, I want,
Okay.
I found something.
I
And one
respect
thing
it.
that I always do is I find our history. I find our Black history. I always ask, where's the Black History Museum? Do y'all have one? So that's my big thing.
Yeah, it's on the south side. It's definitely on the
Mhm.
south side. Yeah, yeah. That's great. I'm glad that you enjoyed Chicago. Yeah, we do have a lot of water. We have a
I
lot of water.
know.
That's why when I moved to Georgia,
Mhm.
and I was living in Atlanta, I was like, "Where's the water?" That was the first thing I asked. I was looking around like, "Y'all ain't got no water." They were like,
Oh, and that's what somebody asked me one time. Is the hurricane going to hit up there? I said, well, if it does, it's the end of the world.
"In
We're
Chicago?"
no Fort Worth. I said it is far away from water. No, no, we will not have the hurricane.
Yeah, I haven't been to Fort Worth. Been to Houston, but not Fort Worth. Maybe
Houston
I should.
is Houston is huge.
It
Fort
is.
Worth is getting to be where it's huge. You can be in Fort Worth and go on maybe 30 and not know you've left Fort Worth and you've gone through Arlington, Grand Prairie, and then you're in Dallas.
Okay,
Yeah,
so DF, is it like a little triangle or a circle?
it's more like a triangle because like you have Frisco and you have Mansfield, you have all these little cities that are popping up that basically didn't have anybody 10 or 15 years ago. Now they have 4 or 5 high schools or whatever.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
So that's DFW.
Mhm.
Okay. It makes sense now. Okay. Now when I keep hearing DFW, what is that? But now the way that you described it, it makes total sense.
Yeah. And if you
Okay.
come to Fort Worth, we're a lot more laid back than Dallas. Dallas is a lot more cosmopolitan. They have more fancy restaurants and whatever. Fort Worth is more laid back. You can wear a pair of jeans anywhere and everywhere.
Okay. I do want to do another trip to Texas and visit the DFW area. Because again, I've been to Houston, so it's like, let me see what else Texas has to offer. So I'm gonna keep that in mind. I'm gonna keep that in mind.
Okay.
Definitely keep that in mind. All right, well, we're gonna end here. No, we're not. Where can people find you if they want to like learn about you, follow you on social? If you have any social media accounts,
They can find me on our website, www.thisisyourbestyear, all one word.com. We have Facebook group page, Instagram, Twitter, a YouTube channel, and Threads, and something else. I can't remember what it is. But all of that is under This Is Your Best Year, and also LinkedIn. Our Facebook page probably has way more followers than anything else because you have to learn your demographics. My child told me that.
you
I
do.
was like, what are my demographics? She said, when y'all find something, y'all don't leave. So, but we're coming along on certain other ones, but we have all of those and we try to keep everybody up to date. And like we said, if you are a person of a certain age, a woman of a certain age, if you will one day be a woman of a certain age, or you know a woman of a certain age, we're for you. Men can read about things on there too, because they can learn. They can find things that they might want to buy their significant other, because we do have a little site that says things we like. Yeah, and it's our unbiased opinion, because our thing is, if somebody sends us something and we don't like it, we probably will not write about it because somebody liked it, and we don't want to be negative. It's sort of like you go to somebody's house and the first time they cooked something, it wasn't good, but the second time it was better.
Yes, yes, I get it. I get it. I get it. Okay, I
So we
get it.
hope they follow us. We hope you follow us, and we
I
hope you
will.
let us know when you come into. So you said Dallas Fort Worth. When you come into Fort Worth, Dallas, and
Fort
we
Worth.
will show you. Yeah, we will show you around. So we're very territorial down this way.
I can tell. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for
Thank
coming
you.
and telling your story and talking to me about all types of things, including friendships. That was much needed. I don't know why God made it universe, God made it happen the way it's supposed to happen. So
Mhm.
I appreciate this conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Follow us on Instagram, Unloaded Uncovered Podcast, Facebook, Unloaded Uncovered. I will see you all next week with a brand new episode. Maricia, thank you so much for coming and speaking with me. I enjoyed this, and I'll see you all next week. Have an amazing weekend.